Hello and welcome to the Peroxcyde guide for Gorefiend on Mythic difficulty. For this encounter you want to bring 2 tanks, 4 to 5 healers and the rest DPS. There are a few things that change from normal or heroic to Mythic difficulty. On Mythic difficulty, when you get Shadow of Death or when you die and get sent into Gorefiend's stomach, you will leave your own corrupted soul behind you, on the spot where you died. Corrupted soul needs to be DPS down to get you out of the stomach. However, you want to be in the stomach as long as possible so you can do as much as you can while you're down there. You have 30 seconds to be inside the stomach, otherwise you will be digested, and if that happens you will die. You deal with this by calling to DPS to DPS your clone down. You can track the digest debuff so you can know when you have to be out. In our group we had one arms warrior assigned specifically to DPS this corrupted souls spirits that were left behind out. And there was a backup hunter for it as well, so in case warrior would have problems he could call out for help. Another thing that changes is during the second phase, during Feast of Souls. Players will have to cleanse the debuff Gorefiend's corruption by running into unstable soul. Everybody will have to go through that, except in our case the warrior that was in control of DPSing the corrupted souls. Those are the main things that change from normal or heroic to mythic difficulty. Now let's go through the entire fight. If you get targeted by Shadow of Death, you will die and get sent into Gorefiend's stomach. Once you're inside the stomach, if you are DPS, you should be slowing down the adds and doing as much damage as you can to the adds called Shadowy Construct. If you're a healer, you need to heal up Tortured Essence, and if you're a tank, you need to pick up the Enraged Spirit. Enraged Spirit add does an ability called Bellowing Shout. It is interruptible, so make sure you interrupt it yourself as a tank. If you want, it gains 300% physical damage increase, so in that case, if that does happen, make sure you use your personal cooldown in order to survive. He also does an ability called Fell Fury. It does fire damage, but it is avoidable, so make sure you dodge it. Call out your DPS to help you on the ad, so the ad doesn't roam around in the stomach and kill random players if you get to be DPS down too soon. At 70% HP, Enraged Spirit performs the ability called Slam, and that's when it runs out of the stomach. Any player that has 5 seconds or less left on digest should be DPS down immediately, otherwise they will die. For the tank, once Enraged Spirit goes on 70%, you should be DPS down so you can rotate the tanking the ad on the ground floor. That's it for the stomach. Once you're out of the stomach, you need to pick up the Gorebound Spirit. It changes the name when it's out of the stomach, I don't know why, but it does. You need to keep performing the tank switch on it because it does an ability called Fell Flames from his every melee attack, which inflicts fire damage. And it will still perform ability Bellowing Shout, so make sure you interrupt rotation with the other tank so it doesn't go through. Another ad that is important that comes out of the stomach is called Gorebound Essence. It does an ability called Spirit Volley, which inflicts shadow damage to all players and reducing movement speed. Also on top of that, each time it does cast volley, it increases the damage by 20%. So make sure you DPS them down as soon as you see them. Another ad that spawns is called Gorebound Construct. It has an ability called Hunger for Life, and it fixates to a random player. It needs to be DPS down, and the player that's fixated obviously needs to run away from it. On the ground floor, players will be affected by Touch of Doom. If you get targeted by this ability, make sure you go away as far as you can to the back of the room, so others don't have to suffer the damage. Plus, you will have more space to dodge abilities. The other thing you need to do is watch out for the ability called Shared Fate. It roots a random player and binds 2 players with that rooted player. So all they need to do is run on top of that rooted player. There's an ability called Crushing Darkness. It just creates a line of explosion. Make sure you just move away from it to avoid taking damage. And the last ability is called Surging Shadows. It causes players that are targeted by this debuff to inflict shadow damage to everybody within 5 yards of them. Now let's go through the second phase, the Feast of Soul phase. Before Gorefiend is going to transition, your job is to kill all the ads and break out all the corrupted souls to have all the players on the ground floor. Once he gets into this, you wanna use everything, all cooldowns, bloodlust, rings, everything, and hit the boss as hard as you can. During this phase, there's gonna be this unstable soul spawning from the back of the room, and that's the only way to remove the debuff called Gorefiend's Corruption. Players will have to run to the unstable soul and then back to the group. Once they've done this, they can focus on either damaging or healing the raid. I highly recommend you mark 3 spots and that somebody is calling the names, the raid leader obviously, and spots so players know where they have to go so it doesn't cause any confusion. Also, players need to be really fast with these corrupted souls so it doesn't hit the entire raid. One more thing I recommend with this is that you cleanse the healers first so they can focus on healing the raid, and it's gonna be so much easier for you afterwards. This is also the phase where healing cooldowns will be needed the most. This was my guide for Gorefiend on Mythic difficulty. I hope you liked the video. If you did, let me know down in the comment section below. Subscribe. If you want to check any of the other guides, just click the annotations. I also stream on Twitch, so feel free to follow and watch me in action. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.